Click on record. So you're now being recorded, including me. And we're going to get right into the story. Again, we're early because of an EP meeting. I'm sure I'll be having people pop in here.
I can't play with this in my bed. It already got stuck on the ceiling once.
Did it just turn brighter?
No.
I turned it brighter.
Okay. Always at the bottom. Here we go. We're coming to the end of this story. We'll be finishing up on Friday, and we'll have a new book next week. And I'm thinking about posting 3 of them, having you vote on the 3. And we'll see which one gets the most votes, because I have 3 equally great books from which to choose for the last 3 weeks. So chapter 33, far below them in the city of New York, something like pandemonium was breaking out. Now this word pandemonium, pan means all. It's a Greek root. Demon means demon. So when all the demons break out, that's pandemonium. So pandemonium was breaking out. A great round ball as big as a house had been sighted hovering high up in the sky over the very center of Manhattan. And the cry had gone up that it was an enormous bomb sent over by another country to blow the whole city to smithereens. Air raid sirens began wailing in every direction. All radio and television programs were interrupted with announcements that the population must go down into their cellars immediately. 1 million people walking in the streets on their way to work looked up into the sky and saw the monster hovering above them and started running for the nearest subway entrance to take cover. Generals grabbed hold of telephones and shouted orders to everyone they could think of. The mayor of New York called up the president of the United States down in Washington, D.C. to ask him for help. And the president, who at that moment was having breakfast in his pajamas, quickly pushed away his half-finished plate of Sugar Crisp and started pressing buttons right and left to summon his admirals and his generals. And all across the vast stretch of America, and all the 50 states from Alaska to Florida, from Pennsylvania to Hawaii, the alarm was sounded and the world went out that the biggest bomb in the history of the world was hovering over New York City, and at that any moment it might go off. Chapter 34. Come on, centipede, bite through the first string, James ordered. The centipede took one of the silk strings between his teeth and bit through it. And it once again, but not with an angry cloud man dangling from the end of the string this time, a single seagull came away from the rest of the flock and went flying off on its own. Bite another, James ordered. The centipede bit through another string. Why aren't we sinking? We are sinking. No, we're not. Don't forget the peach is a lot lighter now than when we started off. It lost an awful lot of juice when all those hailstones hit it in the night. Cut away 2 more seagulls, centipede. Ah, that's better. Here we go. No, we really are sinking. Yes, this is perfect. Don't bite anymore, centipede, or we'll sink too fast. Gently does it. Slowly, the great peach began losing height, and the buildings and streets down below began coming closer and closer. Do you think we'll get our pictures taken in the papers when we get down? My goodness, I've forgotten to polish my boots. Everyone must help me to polish my boots before we arrive. Oh, for heaven's sakes, can't you ever stop thinking about... But he never finished his sentence, for suddenly, whoosh, and they looked up and saw a huge 4-engine plane come shooting out of a nearby cloud and go whizzing past them not more than 20 feet over their heads. This was actually the regular early morning passenger plane coming into New York from Chicago. And as it went by, it sliced right through every single one of the silken strings. And immediately the seagulls broke away, and the enormous peach, having nothing to hold it up in the air any longer, went tumbling down toward the earth like a lump of lead. Help! Save us! We're lost. This is the end. James, do something, James. Quickly, do something. I can't. I'm sorry. Goodbye. Shut your eyes, everybody. It won't be long now. Chapter 35. Round and upside down went the peach as it plummeted towards the earth, and they were all clinging desperately to the stem to stay themselves from being flung into space. Faster and faster it fell, down and down and down, racing closer and closer to the houses and streets below, where it would surely smash into a million pieces when it hit. And all the way along Fifth Avenue and Madison Avenue and along all the other streets in the city, people who had not yet reached the underground shelters looked up and saw it coming. And they stopped running and stood there staring in a sort of stupor at what they thought was the biggest bomb in all the world falling out of the sky onto their heads. A few women screamed, others knelt down on the sidewalks and began praying aloud. Strong men turned to one another and said things like, I guess this is it, Joe. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. And for the next 30 seconds, the whole city held its breath, waiting for the end to come. Chapter 36. Goodbye, ladybug, gasped James, clinging to the stem of the falling peach. Goodbye, centipede. Goodbye, everybody. There were only a few seconds to go now, and it looked as though they were going to fall right in among all the tallest buildings. James could see the skyscrapers rushing up to meet them at the most awful speed, and most of them had square, flat tops. But the very tallest of them all had a top that tapered off into a long, sharp point, like an enormous silver needle sticking up into the sky. And it was precisely onto the top of this needle that the peach fell. There was a squelch. The needle went in deep, and suddenly there was the giant peach caught and spiked upon the very pinnacle of the Empire State Building. End of chapter 36. All righty. So we'll stop this share, and we'll see what happens next tomorrow. All right, so let's look at our agenda for today, our daily assignment. And I'll allow you to ask questions in a little bit. The 3 questions, pretty straightforward. Why was New York freaking out? What ruined James' plan to slowly release the seagulls? And what saved the day? We just read it. So remember to check your vocabulary words here. We will have a test Friday. Plus, I'll give examples. Like if I say something is highly exaggerated, and you have to know that that means hyperbole. If I say something is like something else, you'll know that that's a simile. If I show you 4 lines together of poetry, you should be able to identify that as a stanza. So I'll give examples too, not just the definitions. Instead of the Crazy Horse Monument video, I put one up of Mount Rushmore because these were developed basically at the same time. So you can look at the video of Mount Rushmore, plus edit the day's assignment there. Again, if you need extra help for your poetry, I provided examples of these types. There are other types of poems that you can use, but you have to be able to identify them. On these tenses again, the tenses like future continuous, future perfect, past perfect. What's really more important is that you realize that these little helping verbs like will and have and will have and will be and had been, and then the endings cooked, cooking, cooks, those all determine the time place that you want the action to happen. So what you need to do is to apply, not necessarily memorize what future perfect means or all these fancy schmancy grammar words, but to be able to write with these helping verbs to put your action for your subjects and verbs whenever you want them. And today you're going to use the word throw, like I throw the ball, I threw the ball, etc. There's a great verb tenses game. I love this game because it allows you to, and it focuses on one tense at a time, but it allows you to rearrange the words. So you're putting the sentences together to match the tense that you're supposed to be showing. So it's not just a matter of right and wrong. You actually arrange the words yourselves and create the sentences. So that's pretty cool. Lots of clever sites that give you choices in new books. So I want you guys to have plenty of options over the next 3.5 weeks for reading. And then you'll know through the summer, you'll also have access to all of those books, whether the library is open or not. Remember, your poetry portfolio is due on Friday. So make sure you have that ready. And how can you present it? You can put it in a Word document. You can put it into a PowerPoint. You can illustrate it and take pictures of it. You can perform it on video and send me the video and I will put it up on Safe YouTube and we can all watch it. So that's another option for you. Rebus puzzles, another video here on Rebus puzzles. I expect you to be able to create at least one rebus. Now, the real fancy hard ones, maybe you'll not create one that hard, maybe you will. But a simple rebus, everyone's capable of creating one. So see if you can create one and we'll share it and see if people can figure out what the answer is. The video on ancient Rome today is exactly like the ones that we've seen already from ancient India, ancient Mesopotamia, where a child is writing in a diary. This time it's a boy writing in his diary about life in ancient Rome. So it's a really good video, just like those other ones we saw earlier in the year. Latin, the language of Latin, as I pointed out with the word pandemonium. Many of our words come from Latin and Greek roots, and we use these phrases every day. Nobody actually speaks Latin unless they just do it for fun. There's no country that speaks Latin, but Latin words are all over the place in science and in medicine, especially when you think about science and classification of animals. They use Latin words all the time to classify kingdom and phylum and species. In fact, when they discover new species, they use Latin phrases and Latin roots to create a name for the new species. Okay, there's a geography of ancient Rome. It's really nice little video, and family fun ties in with this video on crazy houses. What would your dream house be? What would your dream house be? So, what's your favorite room? And then if you could make a dream house, what would that be like? And then you can watch that. And again, never forget, the story is down here. And we are videotaping it today. I did put up on Teams repeatedly this morning that our meeting would be early today. So we're early because we have to meet with a parent on an EP. So I'm going to stop this share, and now I'm going to ask if the people, let's see, who is sharing today? Damien, Fabian, and Lena. Damien, Fabian, and Lena. I'm going to click here. Damien, Fabian, and Lena. Mute all. And Damien, go ahead and unmute yourself. And what do you have to share about ancient Rome, long ago and far away?
Let me just get it.
Speak up.
Let me just get it from the assignments, please.
What?
I'm getting it from the assignments.
I asked you to share something. It was up to you to decide what to share. I was very clear about it. Go ahead and share the part that you want to share.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get the assignment thing in. There it is.
Talk a little louder.
It is.
All right,
You guys
good.
see it?
Good job. So what are you going to share with us?
So, I'll just, yeah, why can I not? There it is. So, how I got into trouble in ancient Rome, the main character sneaked out to go to parades and other things for the emperor. But he had to do other things too at his house. At his house too. No one likes a stinky Roman. The main character and his friend took a bath in the public bath and bought food. You're either for him or against him. The main character and his friend were walking past the emperor's parade and looking at the emperor and the prisoners that the emperor captured himself, and there were weapons too. Crashing chariots and slashing gladiators. The main character and his friend, whose name is Titus, wanted to see his sister, so the main character, whose name is Cato, came with his friend. After that, Cato and Titus watched the gladiators fight. Who's hungry for mice and eel? Titus invites Cato for dinner, but then Titus gets caught for sneaking out. What was your favorite part of this book? My favorite part of the book was the last part, because it was like, because I kind of thought, I'm like, oh, Cato was gonna like not get caught, and then just like We were caught. You were wasted. What did you learn about ancient Rome that you didn't know? I never knew that there was a public bath. I actually never knew that.
All right, thank you, Damien. Good job. Fabian. Is Fabian with us today?
No. Bye, guys.
All right, Lena, what do you have to share?
I have my little paragraph I did.
Okay.
1 second. It's not here.
There you go.
It's right here. I couldn't name it because I didn't have a lot of time to do this. In my opinion, I think Kato shouldn't have gotten in trouble, and he should get in trouble. It wasn't his fault. Sure, his classes with his teacher was probably boring, and his friend Titus made him get out. I also think he should get in trouble because he chose to get out of bed and skip his classes. Those are the reasons of why I'm neutral of Kato getting in trouble.
All right, thank you, Lena. And do we have Fabian here yet? No.
Isn't
Who's
Fabian?
FJ82?
That's Fabian, I think.
Is that you, Fabian?
Yes.
Okay, did you have something to share from a long ago and far away?
Well, I do. I did my book report.
Okay, great. Did you want to share a part of it? You don't have to put it on the screen. You can just read it to us or whatever you want to do.
Well, I'm using this computer. All right. I think I can do that. Just gotta get into the assignments.
Fabian, did you find it?
¿Cuál es el que hicimos nosotros?
¿Cuál?
El que hicimos bien, donde tuvo el reporte del libro.
Habla con él, pero hicimos mucho, no me acuerdo. Habla con él, decirle estoy con...
Which day was the book report one?
The book report was last week, and I said we were going to be sharing different parts of it. It was the long ago and far away.
It was May 1st,
Yeah,
I think.
Okay.
yeah, last Friday.
Friday.
Very awkward.
Oops. Accidentally.
Yeah, it was a lot.
My God, everyone looks so weird. There's just like 4 people that have like no screen, and it's like everyone else that has a screen, just like, what is happening? When you're on the gallery view.
For chapter 1. Wait, no.
I need to scoot back.
What's happening?
Part 1 wasn't much of a story as it was an introduction and conclusion. I learned about Cato and Titus 12. Part 2, I learned about aqueducts, about how aqueducts work, and I like the part where they talk about the backs. I think it's refreshing. Part 3, in this part I learned how triumphs work in ancient Rome. Finally felt action taking place in that part of the book. In part 4, I started to understand how Cato got in trouble. To summarize part 4, I learned what made makes Cato and Titus friends. Finally, I learned how, for part 5, I finally learned how Cato got in trouble and how he feels about dinner with Titus. In conclusion, I learned about Cato's and Titus' adventures with Titus.
Okay, great. Thank you, Fabian, for sharing. Appreciate it. And
You're
I'm going to
welcome.
open it up now to, you can unmute yourself, I think. Yes. If you have a question about anything, please feel free to ask now.
Hi. Who was that?
Who's asking?
Peyton. Oh, Peyton.
That was Peyton.
Yeah, but I don't know which one's Peyton.
HP.BV.
Yeah. That was Peyton.
Say hello again.
Hey. You don't want me to.
Hello.
Hello, Peyton.
Okay, yep, it's just Peyton. I can tell her voice.
Peyton, did you have a question?
Hmm?
Do you have a question?
No, not